Hello guys, I'm Daily Green. Today I'm going to be reviewing PetSmart Care Guides with my little buddy, Timber the Dagu. So you go, Timber, eat up some lettuce. So we're going to start with leopard gecko. There's a little buddy over there. Very cute. Let me just fix this camera angle. Alright, leopard geckos. First page. It says, they have functional eyelids that make them distinct from other geckos. That is true. Leopard geckos are in like a classification called eyelid geckos, along with African fat-tailed geckos, and also Chinese cave geckos. Experience level, beginner. Now, I would call them a beginner reptile, but I would not call them a beginner pet. They are actually quite challenging. Size, leopard geckos grow up to 10 inches. Yes, but they can grow up to 12, depending on like gender and stuff, other factors. Lifespan, on average, they live for 15 to 20 years. That is true, but I'd say they usually live for 20. Ignore that background noise. It's Timber's friend. He's playing with one of his toys and it's banging on his cage. Origin, leopard geckos originate from the Middle East and require a warm, dry environment with a moist hiding spot where they may shed their skin. That is true, although, like, it can't be too warm, you know? Like, they like it at about, like, 89, I think, yeah. A leopard gecko terrarium. Okay, there are so many things wrong with that. Let's just read it. Terrarium, a screen lid, daytime and nighttime bulb. You do not need a nighttime bulb. That is a complete trash product. Do not buy that. You only need a daytime bulb. Heat lamp and bulb, yes. Although the daytime in this is the same. Thermometer, yes. Yeah, you do need a thermometer. Although I'd recommend a thermostat that controls the temperature. Those are just way easier. Basking site beneath the lamp, yes. Now, I'd recommend putting like a piece of slate under a heat lamp. That is because slate holds a lot of heat, so even if your gecko only comes out at night, it can catch the heat from the daytime, if that makes sense. Reptile carpet, no. Do not use reptile carpet, trust me. Like, they can get their nails caught, and they can rip out their nails, and it can be really bloody. And also, it is not enriching for them whatsoever, and they do not get to, like, dig in it. Leopard geckos do enjoy digging, and reptile carpet does not offer them that enrichment. Food dish, you don't need a food dish. Well, some people prefer a food dish, but I prefer tongue feeding, which, if any of you don't know, like, about reptiles much, basically what tongue feeding is here, let me just grab my tongue. I use these tweezers, and I grab an insect and then offer it to the animal with the tweezers instead of putting it in a dish. Some people just like to go full on, like Hunger Games style, and they just throw all the insects in there and let the animal hunt them, and that's really enriching for them too. Water dish, yes, you do need a water dish. Do not put it under the heat lamp because it will evaporate. Plants and decor, yes, but I'd say the best way to do a leopard gecko habitat is to make it bioactive and get live plants, because live plants are very enriching for them. And there's a difference, you know, they feel more comfortable in live plants. Live plants also just, like, if you go bioactive, you don't have to clean their tank, because live plants will eat all, like, basically the isopods and springtails, which are like little insects that break down poo. they break down like poo and other waste, goes into the soil as nutrients, and then your plants eat the nutrients. So they're an important part of like a bioactive tank. Hide or humidity hut. See, you're not just supposed to have a humidity hut. You're supposed to have 3 hides. 1 under the heat lamp, which is going to be your warm hide. I'd like to make like a rock structure that they can go under and also use as a basking spot. Something I did with mine. And another one should be a cold hut, which is just farther away from the heat lamp. Because heat lamp is over here, so it should be like all the way over here. And 3, a humid hide. Which humid hides, they should be sprayed with a spray bottle once a day to keep it nice and humid. And the reason they need a humid hide is so that when they're in shed, they can go in there, and the humid hide just makes their shed skin moist and it falls off really easy. And it's just very beneficial. Now, terrarium. Day temperature on the cool side should be 70 to 90. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Day temperature on worm side should be 85 to 95. Yeah. Night temperature, 65 to 75, that's good. Humidity, 10 to 30%, that's good. Now, how do I set up a leopard gecko terrarium? 1 to 2 leopard geckos can be housed together in a 20-gallon terrarium if territorial behaviors observed increase the size of the habitat. That is complete crap right there. 1 leopard gecko needs a minimum of 40 gallons. That is for 1, let alone 2. And cohabbing is something that shouldn't be done unless you do lots of research into their behavior. Because, like, the thing with leopard geckos is males can be territorial to each other. Sometimes, no matter what the gender, sometimes they just don't get along. The individual personalities, they just don't like each other. And there's just so many things that can go wrong. And it's just way easier to just not cohab them. Although they are found in the wild in groups. In the wild, if they get into a fight, they can leave. But in a terrarium, if they get into a fight, they're just stuck there, you know? So they have to fight. And that is not good. My leopard gecko lives in a 40-gallon bioactive setup. Use reptile carpet or tile. Remove droppings at least once a week. And thoroughly clean carpet/tile at least every other week. Now, like I said earlier, do not use reptile carpet. It is a complete crap waste product. But tile does work. Because tile does like hold heat, so it can function as a basking spot. You can just lay on the ground. And also, they can't get their nails caught in tile because it's just solid. So tile is doable, but again, loose substrate provides so much enrichment. It's just way better. Why bother with tile? Remove droppings at least once a week and thoroughly clean carpet/tile. Now, if you're not going bioactive, yes, remove the poo whenever they poo, just take it out. But if you are going bioactive, leave the poo. The isopods and springtails will eat it. You don't have to clean it up. And yes, if you're going to use tile, you do have to clean it. Because they do, and I guess the poo, I don't know. The poo can be, juicy, you know, so it can just get stuck there. Leopard geckos, calcium absorption can benefit. Leopard geckos, calcium absorption can benefit from supplementary 5.0 UVB light. Now, if you're going to use a UVB light, here's the thing. A baby leopard gecko can live in a 20-gallon. So if you're housing a baby leopard gecko in a 20-gallon, yes, you should use a 5% UVB. But for an adult leopard gecko in a 40-gallon, there's a greater distance, so you should use a 7% UVB. I'd recommend the Arcadia Shade Dweller. It's probably the best UVB on the market. Let's see. And yes, leopard geckos do benefit from UVB. Some people say they don't need it, which is true if you supplement them properly. But it's not like anything bad's going to happen if you, like, do give it to them. Like, say, it's better for you to give it to them and for them to not use it than for you to not give it to them when they need it. Oh, sorry, Timber ran out of lettuce. One sec, we're going to have to break for a second here. All right, I am back, and I gotta give Timber this lettuce, so one sec. Here he goes. He's got his new piece. Very delectable, very tasty. Let me fix this camera angle. I think he shifted the camera a little bit. All right, where were we? Okay, yeah, we left off at UVB. Leopard geckos require a temperature gradient. Yes, if you're wondering what a temperature gradient means, it means basically one side needs to be hotter and one side needs to be cooler. We already kind of talked about this stuff, so I'm just going to move on. Use an under tank heater and daytime heat lamp if necessary. All right. Okay, this is complete crap. You do not use both, all right? Because if you use both, your leopard gecko is basically gonna burn like all day. The heat is gonna be so intense if you use both. Choose one. Heat lamp and a heat mat are both like fine, but don't use them both at the same time. Pick one and use it in the daytime. I recommend the heat lamp because in the wild, obviously, well, this like heat comes from up, right? Because the sun projects heat down onto Earth. It does not come from the ground, you know? So I would say a heat lamp is better in my opinion. Turn heater and lamp off for 12 hours at night. Use the chart opposite to ensure proper temperature. Now, you don't have to turn it off for 12 hours. People do different things depending on their opinions. So I'd say do some research and figure out how long you want to leave it on and off for yourself. I personally just turn mine off at 9 and turn it on at like 12 in the morning. Well, no, earlier than 12, like 11 in the morning maybe. Equip the habitat with 2 thermometers, one on each side to measure temperature and a hygrometer to measure humidity. Mist your gecko every other day. Keep their hideout humid by misting sphagnum moss. Now, I'd say you don't really need like a thermometer on both sides. I'd say you need a thermostat for your heat lamp, and then you're good. And what a thermostat does is basically a thermostat, it controls the temperature of like the hot spot for you. And basically if you set the temperature of the heat lamp to the right amount, then your cold side is going to be perfectly fine, you know? It's just going to end up being fine. And for humidity, you don't have to measure that. You can literally just mist the humid hide once a day, and that will be fine. You don't need a percentage of humidity or anything like that. Give your gecko a rock, branches, and plant leaves on the cool side for hiding. Add moistened moss to hiding spots on the warm side to aid healthy shedding. So, you don't only need stuff on your cool side. I'd say put stuff all over. Rocks, branches, live plants. Use natural things because natural is always better with keeping animals. You always want to mimic their natural habitat. And you can just put it throughout the whole enclosure. It doesn't need to be on the cool side. I don't know why they say that. And you don't need sphagnum moss like everywhere. You can just have it in your humid hide. If you're doing bioactive, then it would probably be in your substrate as well. For more information, consult. Okay, whatever. What should I feed my leopard gecko? 1 times daily to every other day. Yes. When your leopard gecko is a baby, you're gonna want to feed it every day. When it's an adult, you're gonna want to feed it once every 2 days. And 6. Crickets, dubia roaches, hornworms, mealworms, and/or superworms. Yes, those are all suitable. Although I'd recommend dubia roaches. Those are probably the healthiest ones for them out of this list. And it doesn't say this here, but I'm just going to warn you. Waxworms are very high in fat and should not be fed regularly, alright? So feed mealworms, crickets, or like dubia roaches or something like that. Do not feed waxworms every day. Feed them, you can feed them as a treat here and there, but not every day. Water clean daily and provide at all times. Yes. We're just going to skip that. And that is pretty much, you can look at that, but that's pretty much just like a summary of what we just went over. So that's going to be it for the leopard gecko. And I'm going to be saving the rest of these for other videos. Maybe I'll do a part 2 or part 3 or something like that. So tell me in the comments which one you want to see next, and I will do it for part 2. Alright, bye. Oh, one more thing. And also, if you guys were wondering what my leopard gecko terrarium looks like, I will insert a clip now.